Good morning and welcome to 30 Ways, 30 Days. I'm Susie Jacobs and it is 11:07, which means we're going to spend the next 9 minutes together unpacking some of the assumptions that can undermine our confidence and play havoc with our best laid plans. It is day 28. Cannot believe that we're coming to the end of our 30 Ways, 30 Days. And today really is... I thought about this over the past sort of 24 hours, and it's in response to the people I've been speaking to over the past week or so who are really suffering in a space of overwhelm. So day 28 is all about how you can beat back the overwhelm and find a little peace in everyday life. So let's have a look who is here. Just waiting for a couple of waves, a little love hearts. Love to know that you're here and with me today. I'm down at the Domain. You might be able to see Sydney City in the background, and I've got the art gallery in front of me over here. Beautiful day. It's like 28 degrees in Sydney. So overwhelm. There's plenty of that going around. I kind of think, if we don't want overwhelm to become our new life partner, it's time for us to get a little skilled up in how we can process overwhelm differently. As I said, I've been speaking to quite a few people over the past week, and no matter what their circumstances, and they are all different, whether it's a mum with young kids really struggling to find her place in the world and her purpose, the person who's left their job and is just really struggling with what next, or the career person, just the constant demands coming in from head office. And of course, the business owner who's just got so much change to deal with. It leaves us with this sense of overwhelm. So let's talk about our top tips. What can we do about it? Well, the first thing we can do is remind ourselves there are two spheres of influence, external and internal. So the external is obviously what's happening in the external world. So it's the increase in workload. It is the kids who have no structure and they wake up all through the night. These things are happening in our external world. Then there is how we respond to those external circumstances. They're happening in our internal world. And if you want to do anything about overwhelm, and yes, you can influence your external circumstances, but where it starts is your internal world. So here's what happens when we have change of circumstances and we trigger this response in ourselves, which is called overwhelm. What it does is it triggers in us a story. And it sounds like this in your head. See if you can listen out for yours. I don't like this. I didn't ask for this. This shouldn't be happening to me. I'm such an organized, structured person. I never get overwhelmed. A whole lot of, is that making sense? Do you hear some of that in your own internal dialogue? I don't like this. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't what I planned in life. I don't like this, right? And it's this conversation in our head, which is actually the thing that keeps us stuck in the overwhelm, because there is no answer to that story. And here's the thing, you might feel that it's justified. You might feel that you're right by thinking these things, and that's fine. But the question I have for you is this: is it useful? You see, you can be right or you can be happy. You can be right or you can be productive. And for as long as we have that internal story, I don't like this, wasn't part of the plan, you don't understand, they don't understand, this isn't fair, there is no out from overwhelm. So we need to interrupt the story. Now, before I tell you how, which I'm about to, I want to give you a sidestep for a second and talk about sport. Or talk about tennis particularly. And for anyone who knows me, you will know I love the game of tennis. So when I go and play tennis, sometimes I go and play tennis and I catch up with a friend and we knock the ball around the court for an hour. Other times, I hire a coach and I ask the coach to work with me for an hour on building my game plan on the tennis court. Other times, I've noticed that my forehand is really struggling, and I'll ask to spend an hour just practicing my forehand, because I'm narrowing in my focus to master one specific part of my game. That's what we need to do in life. You see, often when I start talking to people about overwhelm, they come and speak to me and they have a long list of things which aren't working and aren't fair, and they have their story about them, as we all do. I've got my stories as well, guys. The difference between you and me is I've got really great tools, really structured system for getting myself out of that story quick, smart, so I can find peace rather than stay in overwhelm. Yeah, so you come to me and you start telling me about your overwhelm, and we'll start to narrow in on one particular aspect of it. And then you know what happens? Our ego brain that wants to be right, that is getting stuck, like pulled into this vortex of overwhelm, goes, yeah, but it's also over here. And then we start talking about that. Yeah, but it's also over here. You can be right or you can be happy. So here's the thing. You want to narrow your focus. There is no sense in thinking about everything that you would like to shift, transform, change, alter, experience differently. You might list them, but we can only really have the bandwidth for one if we're lucky, and that's only if we give it our attention. So today, the first thing you want to do is remind yourself that life has a long path in front of you, and there's plenty of time for you to master new skills in being able to work through not only overwhelm, but stress, frustration, anxiety, unhappiness, any of those sorts of things. But like the tennis player, when they go out on the court for that big game, what's set behind it is all the hours of practice in mastering the skills so that they can rely on the individual pieces of their game to have them win on that court. And we're doing the same in life. So narrow your focus. What's most important to you? Secondly, remember, the external stuff is the external stuff. If you want to alter it, the first thing that you want to start looking at is within. Start listening to that story and remind yourself that it is a story and that you can interrupt it. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And here's the magic. The moment you stop telling yourself how overwhelmed you are, you stop experiencing overwhelm. And what you can do is focus on what's in front of you and start making some choices about what matters most. Now, you want some skills, right? Like the forehand, the volley, the backhand, the serve. We want to have our toolkit and build our toolkits in life so that anytime we feel any of those, that sense of overwhelm, as I said, or grief, unhappiness, sad, whatever it is, that we're skilled to be able to unpack it for ourselves and to be able to process it and then choose a new path in life. So yes, you can beat back the overwhelm, and the first thing you want to do today is listen to that story in your head and know that you are the author of that story. And although today that story might feel like the truth, it's just habit. And if you're 18, those habits are less ingrained. If you're 50, 52, those habits are more ingrained. But they're still just habits. And like anything, they can be altered. And it's up to you whether you choose to be right or to be happy. Do you want to stay in the overwhelm and the complaint, the excuses and the justification? Or do you want to find a sense of peace in your life today? And if that's you, let me know in the feed. As always, you can go on to susiejacobs.com, fill out our EQ SWOT. It's free, it's complimentary. You'll get a score, then you'll get a second level assessment. All of that is free. And if you just go, you know what, I want to beat this now. I'm tired of the stress and the frustration and the exhaustion and the overwhelm. Forget it. I choose to live a life which is on purpose, aligned with my values and my goals. let us know. We still have a couple of places on our September program. If that's not for you, we run them every 5 weeks. There are more programs in November, but let's start the conversation. So on that note, I'm just going to give you a moment, if there are any questions, to let me know in the field below. But otherwise, I promise, as always, I will pick them up afterwards and answer each of you individually. It is a beautiful day. It has been an absolute pleasure spending 9 minutes with you. If you want to forward this on to colleagues, friends in your life, 9:07 tonight for the watch party, 7:07 tomorrow, and otherwise I'll see you back here at 11:07 for day 29. Have a freaking awesome day. Go find some peace, narrow your focus. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye for now.